Station ABC4 Utah. News at 10 starts now.
Good evening and welcome to the News at 10. I'm Don Hudson.
And I'm Kim Fischer. Over the past few years, I've done several stories on sexual assault. If you've seen any of them, you've probably already figured out Utah has a sexual assault problem. Now, according to the FBI, we have the 17th highest rate of sexual assault in the nation. Law enforcement agencies and prosecutors are working to improve those statistics, but they say the few cases that actually make it to the courtroom rarely find justice. Tonight, we find out why. For Amelia Denny, running is a welcome escape from reality.
I'm able to be happy again for a little bit.
Since October 14th, 2014, she says happiness has been hard to come by.
Just really lost all of the compassion and love I had for the world because I was just so hurt.
Hurt from a first date she says took an awful turn.
I can't focus on anything, to be honest. I've had a really hard couple days.
I'm sorry, I feel like such an idiot. Oh, I can't tell you how bad I felt for literally the past 2 days.
Provo police recorded this phone conversation with her date just a couple days later.
I said no multiple times. How come you kept... I said stop multiple times. Did I not?
Well, you did. I know you did. You have every reason to be at a loss for words or hate me or worry about anything because that should never happen. But a no is no, so that's 100% on me.
I don't think you necessarily understand, if I said no, you realize that you raped me, right? I said no.
I understand. I know. That's actually gone through my head multiple times, and it makes me hate myself.
Amelia's case went to trial, and despite hearing this phone conversation, the jury found that man not guilty.
I don't know. I've thought about that a lot, and I don't know.
That's the prosecutor in the case, Ryan McBride.
She reported it to police that night. She had a medical exam. The medical exam corroborated her story. And then we had a recorded interview with the suspect. When I see that evidence, I say we've got everything here.
As shocking as the outcome may seem, advocate Alana Kindness is not surprised.
It's unfortunately not that uncommon. It's actually uncommon for cases to even get that far.
It's shockingly true when you break down the numbers. According to McBride, 28% of women in Utah claim to have been sexually assaulted. Of that 28%, only 11% report to law enforcement. And only a small fraction of that number will end up in prosecution.
When we first hear of someone that is sexually assaulted, our first reaction often is, why didn't you do this? You know, we have these stereotypes. What were you wearing? And we start to criticize the victim. I think the initial response we should have is, are you okay?
Amelia says she personally experienced those stereotypes in the courtroom.
The jury should have cringed hearing his attorneys say that my shorts were too short, and they didn't. They agreed. It doesn't matter what I was wearing or what I did. I said no, and that's all that matters.
Clothing is just one of several rape myths McBride addressed. Another, victims should fight.
It would be better to die fighting than to be raped. And that's not how we act as humans.
According to research, in a moment of trauma, our brains revert back to a primitive mode, fight, flight, or freeze. And up to 50% of victims freeze and can't fight back. It's called tonic immobility. McBride also points out rape is very rarely committed by a stranger. In nearly 90% of the cases in Utah, the victim knows their attacker, making these crimes harder to report. The final misconception is that most rape cases are false reports.
Yeah, that happens, but it's extremely rare.
According to research, only 2 to 8% of reported rapes are false, which would mean 92 to 98% of victims are telling the truth.
We'll have a safer community if we start by believing.
I wish that a jury that represented my society could have known that and could have believed that enough to take my no's for what they're worth, and they didn't, just like he didn't.
While the case is now closed, healing has come slowly for Amelia.
I just really want to get to a place where it's not the first thing I think about every morning, and want to get to a place where I can go a couple days, a couple weeks, a month without thinking about it. And
until then, she runs to find those moments of happiness. She runs to forget the pain. We reached out to the man accused in this case as well as the judge. Neither wanted to speak about the trial. Now, because that man was found not guilty, we have withheld his identity. Amelia has written a blog detailing how her life has changed since this experience. To read it, find this story on our website, goodforutah.com.